Hey everybody, come on in. Come on in the room, in the room, in the room, in the room. We are going to be doing a continuation of last week's episode, which was Impact of Grief Part 1. I'm gonna give a couple of people a few minutes to jump in on tonight. As you all come in, let us know you're in here.
And where you from? Is you from Birmingham? Is you from Fairfield?
Boji, Big Belma.
Right. Let me share this. Are my comments on? There they go. Okay.
I see some people jumping in, jumping in, jumping in here. Let us know that you are in here. Come on in. Hey, Krishana. Hey, Charlotte. What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up?
Hey y'all.
They are piling in. Hey, Z.
Hey Lee.
Hey, Talia. How are you? What's been going on, Prophet Talia? What you been doing with your life? Hey, Crystal, Connie. Hey, you guys. Hello, hello, hello. Hey, Miss Carolyn. Hey, everybody. We're gonna jump on in because we're gonna try not to be our regular hour tonight. We just gonna kind of push this one on you guys. She said recovering. I know you've been really working. You've been working in the vineyard, Leah. But we
Lord.
talked about the impact of grief, and we all were kind of giving our own experiences with grief. Juna talked about her dad, Pauletta talked about her dad, Queasy talked about her mom. I think mainly talked about my husband, my sisters, and stuff like that. And so we talked about, loss that we have experienced. But one thing that we also did that was so good was we shifted from grief just being the loss of a loved one, but realizing that you can grieve people, you can grieve places, you can grieve things, you can grieve friendship, you can grieve relationships, you can grieve all kind of things. So grief isn't just attached to losing or someone transitioning. Grief can be attached to so many different things. You know what I'm saying? Even the loss of yourself, because sometimes we can get involved and entangled in things that causes us to lose ourselves. Like we can get in relationships and we can lose ourselves in the relationship,
Absolutely.
and then we'll wake up one day and we don't even know who we are,
Yep.
and we began to grieve who we were or who we knew ourselves to be, because now we're acting out of character, unlike who we are. So
Mm-hmm.
grief could go so many different ways. One of the things that I'm going to say, and then I'm going to just I'm going to shoot this off to you, Queasy, because I think you could really grab this. But somebody had inboxed me probably maybe about an hour ago, and she said she listened to the podcast episode on the impact of grief. And she said one of the things that stuck with her was when I talked about raising your kids to live without you. Like as a parent, you as a parent, your goal should be to raise your children to live without you. And I was telling, she said that hit her very hard, like very hard. She has only one child, one son. And so I understand that part. And I was telling her, I said, I got that from when my older sister died and I had to get custody of my nephew. Because my older sister died in the home and my nephew was a minor, I had to sign for him right then. He had to be released. I mean, like right there on the premises. Okay. He had to be released in somebody else's custody or he would have been going into the system, you know. And I was telling her, and I said, when I got my nephew, no pun towards my sister, but it's just the truth. Like, he didn't know how to do anything for real. And I was just saying, like that taught me. Like he was 16, but it was really like he was 8, because it's like he didn't know, he was spoiled. My sister had done everything. And I'm like, I'm sure she never would have thought in a million years that she wouldn't have saw him graduate.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So now he's living with me, and now it's like we're having to literally teach him everything because he don't know. And I learned in that situation how important it is that we be very intentional about teaching our children how to live without us.
Yeah.
Quincy, you want to pick?
Yeah. I would say that I that prompted me to go and kind of talk to my siblings and try to figure out what was the difference, because they adapted better than I did. So I needed to figure out what did I miss? And it was lack of exposure. Like not leaving them, like staying in the, I had all these plans of moving out and living with a best friend, and I never went off to school. I went to Miles College, and nothing against that, but I maybe should have, because of my clinginess, I may have should have lived on campus or something like that, because I never learned how to adapt away from them, period. I went from I married Robert out of their house. So
So you
if I'm
never lived alone.
never lived alone. So I didn't know. I'm like, why y'all? I'm not saying that they didn't hurt from her, but they knew more than I did. And then I was, the one that was like the religious, we talk about that all the time, religious mindset. Whatever they said was law. I ain't gonna look it up or back, try to verify what they said. If they said the sky was green and I could clearly say it was blue, I would fight you about what my parents said. So I will say that it is so important that, again, and that's causing me to adjust how I deal with RJ. It's hard. There are times where he walks out of this house and he's just different, and I have to speak lightly to him, and I cry when he's gone because I have attachment issues. You know what I'm saying? Because I realized even this weekend as a little girl, every time we would do a pattern change, I would cry. So that means if we went on vacation and we came back and had to go back to school, I would cry. And I would tell people, don't pay me no attention. This is just what I have to do to adjust, right? Now I'm 37 years old. We went on a trip for how many days? 2 days. And I enjoyed myself, and I came home and I've been emotional. And what I realized is that triggers my emotion when it comes to losing my mom. It pulls that back in for me. So I have to, now I've been to counseling, I've been able to identify that's an issue. That pattern change triggers you for some reason. You know what I'm saying? So I have to prepare for that. But again, that was my lack of awareness, not being away. So I was very clingy to my husband. At the beginning, like I didn't know what it was. Like I don't think we slept away from each other. Maybe only, I don't know. I don't know if we ever have. I don't even think we've been in a separate room. So I have always been just very over, and all of that comes from not exposing myself, not being prepared to live by myself. I didn't even know how to go to the post office, and somebody was talking about going to the post office and sending stuff out. I'm like, oh, I know how to buy stamps.
Now, please, come on
I'm
now, baby.
serious. I'm being honest with you. But that was because I never went outside of that. There's a healthy way to respect your parents, but there's some you gotta get out and figure out some things for yourself. That's why RJ, he gotta go. So I'm like, listen, you gotta go explore. You gotta go. That change my experience has changed how I deal with him. Even though that hurts me. Even though I'm like, Lord, I don't know. I'm gonna need some help in that area. That may be when when Lynn was saying you may have to get counseling and get some help for those different big life changes. But I know for his good, he got to go. So yeah, I believe she tried, but she figured that I wasn't receiving it. I wasn't gonna receive living without her. I couldn't see a life without her. But my sister was the one that accepted it. She's my younger sister, 5 years younger than me. And she was
Oh,
like,
wow.
I knew. So yeah, you have to teach them to live without you. And I don't know the necessary steps because that's the process I'm going through right now, is how to teach art. But thank God for my husband. But I know everybody's story is not the same. Robert is the one that brings that balance of like, hey, you can't do him like that. You can't coddle him like that. He gotta grow up. And I've cried and I want to fight him for that. But I know that was something that was unhealthy for me, that limited me. So I have to let him do that. That means going away without me. Now we ain't going out, let's spend the night stuff yet. But going places without me, going to explore. He be like, Mama, you gotta let me grow up. And I've had to accept that in my heart. I still got a lot of work to do. But yeah, they gotta learn how to live without you. They do, and I know that's not an easy. I don't know if anybody else can give a suggestion on how to teach that, because I'm going through that myself.
From the child's perspective of being very clingy. Up until I would say I didn't really like to do anything without my parents. I know it's the weirdest thing in the world, but I just didn't. I didn't like to do
I
stuff.
feel you.
If they weren't going, if they weren't even for vacation, like there would be times when my brother and my sister would go off to my cousins. If my mom and my daddy weren't going, I ain't really want to go. Is the weirdest thing, I'll say, like, but the way God dealt with me about it is that I'm the only one that moved away from home, out of state, like, and it was at the time when it was time for me to go. Everybody knew it was God because now
Ain't no way she leaving.
ain't no way she leaving mom and daddy.
Right.
And so
Right.
I'll say that God taught in me in my obedience to move away from home how to live without my mom and my dad. That's when I learned. I didn't learn as a child. I didn't learn growing up. I learned when I became adult how to do that.
Like, so what was one of the things you learned?
I learned that how to trust God
Mhm.
because and I know this ain't trying to be deep in spirit, but I'm just trying to tell you, like, I didn't. I've lived, and opposite Queasy, you have never lived by yourself. I've only lived. I had put it like this. I've only lived on my own. I had a roommate and not even when I first moved from when I first moved to Georgia. I did not have a roommate. I eventually had a roommate, like towards the last 2 years when I was there, but after that, no roommate. I was on my own. And so I had to initially I was calling home for every single thing. Every
Mhm.
time something would happen, I gotta call my daddy. And I was
All the way in
Yep.
Georgia.
Georgia, calling my dad. Like, I think I talked to my dad more when I was away
Than you did here.
then I talked to my mom, right?
Wow.
I talked to my mom a lot when I was home, but like, and I did a lot with my dad, but like when stuff would happen, like I would be traumatized. Daddy, call daddy in tears, like full blown, oh, get it, can't even get it out. Like it was ridiculous. When I think back on it, it was just ridiculous, right? But it was in those moments when God spoke to me and said, "Hey, you contacting your daddy and asking your daddy to fix it, and your daddy coming through is not me making a way for you.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
So stop thanking me for that.
Oh,
Call your daddy and thank your daddy for that."
Wow.
so look, I wanna bring it back to grief real quick. So, and anybody could ask this: was there anything that anyone said that stuck out to you that kind of helped you through the process? Like that first week when you were going through. I know for me, I had one of my aunts. She was super saved. She was Pentecostal, and I remember I was downstairs. I was in the basement because everybody was upstairs, partying. Because it'd be a party when Black folks die, which is the craziest thing. And she came downstairs and she prayed for me, and she was speaking in tongues, and I was strict Baptist, so I was just like, okay, this is real weird. And then she was just like, your dad is here, and I'm telling you, you're gonna make it through. And it
Wow.
was as generic and cliche as that was, like, out of everything that everybody said, that was the only thing that allowed me to get through the week. And then after that, like, I was entertaining, like I was the hostess. Everybody else was tending to my mom. But when she was just like, your dad is here, and I even think that night I had a visitation. And he
Yeah.
was, I had
Wow.
double beds, and he was sitting on the other bed, and he was just like, hey, hey, he called me PJ. He was like, hey, PJ. I was like,
Wow.
Dad, okay, you're not supposed to be here. So and we just had a really, it was a real like regular conversation, and he was like, I'm okay, I'm okay, and then that was it.
So just having the being reassured that you
Mhm.
were going to be okay helped you.
Mhm.
Definitely.
Now keep in mind, I was 18.
No,
No,
no.
17.
I
No,
mean,
17.
still, so I feel like that's shoot. That's weighty. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Cause
And
see,
so
cause in the moment you don't know if you're gonna be okay or not.
right.
That's true.
To be seen, for somebody to see you and say, "I see you," but guess
Right.
what?
Right. I
Right.
remember Bishop Blake's told me when Sean died, he said, let your heart break so God can heal you.
Wow.
And
Mm,
that's something that stuck with me. That has stuck with me. Let your heart break so God can heal you. And that
Wow.
was something. And my aunt said something to me too. Two things that stood out was he said that in my aunt, because it was like at first, like my family was over here and they were like taking turns, like who would come in the room if I started crying. And so I guess it was my aunt was up and she came in there and she sat next to me. She didn't hug me or anything like that. She just sat next to me and I was just crying, crying, crying. And she said, hey, she said, you got all these people around you. And but she said, but you're gonna have to walk this one by yourself.
Wow.
I remember that vividly. She said, you're gonna have to walk this one by yourself.
Wow.
And I was just like, wow. So when Bishop said, let your heart break so you can heal. And when she said, you got to walk, and that's so true. Because even though you have all these people around you, the process,
He's yours.
you got to walk it out by
It's a
yourself.
it's a lonely
yeah.
journey.
It
A
is.
very long
You got to
journey.
walk the process out by yourself. But we talked about grieving different things, besides just people like transitioning. We talked about grieving all different kinds of things. Like, you can grieve a version of yourself.
Hmm.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying?
I came across a quote. It says, "I'm unsure which pain is worse: the shock of what happened, or the ache for what never will."
Wow.
Ooh, that's good. Say
Wow.
that again.
It is.
Wow.
I'm unsure which pain is worse: the shock of what happened, or the ache for what never will.
Wow.
Dang.
Wow.
And when you think about that thing, you like, which is worse? Which is it? Which?
For me, I can only speak to for myself. Of course, the shock of it was gut wrenching,
Mhm.
but it's almost like you're grieving more than one thing
Mm-hmm.
because at first you grieve the actual loss of the person, and then you grieve, you know what I'm saying, the new normal.
Yeah,
Right.
So for me, the hardest part is grieving what will never be.
yeah.
That's been the
Wow.
hardest part for me.
That takes the longest to
Mhm.
get to heal. That part takes the longest to heal because shock, it's shock. I'm shock. You know,
Mhm.
Shock
that's
is
shock.
heart. Shock is
Shock is
heartbreak.
immediate. Right.
Yes.
It's
It's immediate.
heartbreak. It's
Mhm.
Right.
like a deep ache
Right.
in your heart.
Right.
But then when everybody's gone home and ain't nobody bringing
Ooh.
no chicken by and ain't nobody bringing no waters and and folks ain't tending to you. You know what I'm saying? And you get
Yeah.
in their house and it's quiet, then you got to start grieving what will never be.
My goodness.
Wow.
And to me, that's the hardest thing. I just had some ceviche yesterday.
Ooh.
Now, Sean used to make ceviche for me all the time. I used to beg for it. Two things I used to beg for: lamb chops and ceviche. Okay. And so yesterday I had some. and I hadn't had any in a long time. And Chris has tried to make me some, but it just don't taste like Sean. I've tried to make some, it don't taste like his. We just ain't quite got it right. But we didn't try. But this ceviche I had yesterday,
It was good.
it tastes just like it.
Oh,
But I remember when I was eating it and I stood at the counter, I looked at Chris, I was just like, Lord have mercy. You know, I said that
Right.
when I put it on my plate. Then when I sat down, I was like, whoo. I was like, I sure miss him. Just just your mind go. But just even that, and just little things. And that's the thing about grief. And I saw this quote on Facebook so much when people say grief is sneaky. It's a
Yep.
scent, it's a picture, it's a moment, it's a memory. It just comes out of nowhere.
Yep.
It's so unannounced.
Yep.
Like after you got past the shocks periods, you know what I'm saying? That takes you months to come into realization what happened. Then the next thing you're going through is the first of everything without that person.
Yep.
First birthday, the first holiday, the first.
mm,
And then you begin to me to start trying to cope with reality.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So I back to what you said, Juna. For me personally, is grieving what will never be.
what will never be.
What's it for you, Quincy?
I would
Concerning your
guess
mom.
I would guess the same. Um, Grieving what will never be because I've tried to recapture that so many times. I like one of my biggest regrets was not getting enough pictures with her as an adult. Like my sister was really big on taking pictures and I wasn't in that mode. Like I wasn't on social media. When I was a new wife, I could care less about social media. I could care less about pictures. When I had my baby, I wasn't trying to share that with nobody. I enjoyed that time myself. And I was like that with her too. So that was one of my biggest regrets. Like I was in her presence, but I didn't want to take a picture. And I regret that now. So somebody sent me just out the blue, one of my god nieces sends me a picture that she had in her possession forever, but she just sends it out the blue. And that trick, that's when they said the waves, those waves that come. And I've had that today. And, what Lynn was talking about before, about sometimes turning on the lights, like having to walk out the room, doing stuff like that. Because, in these moments, what I want to recapture when I have these emotional moments is being able to go sit in her presence and her joy, bringing me out that place. But that will never be anymore. You know what I'm saying? So literally, I have become what she was to me, but I've become that for other people. So counseling for me has been, what do you need? Quisa, what do you need to get past that? Because I lost control of my emotions. So, being at the conference all weekend was amazing. But then, I don't cry. I mean, I cry when I'm in worship and stuff like that, but I don't cry as much anymore. So when I do cry, I can stay in that spot. So I have to find healthy ways to deal with that, because I'm like, I ain't saying it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not going to that place, but it'll try to pull. If I don't do the necessary work that I need to do, I'll find myself. And tonight, I remember when Pauletta said this, when we were talking about a whole nother subject, about her literally having to come on this live tonight, saved her from making a bad decision. Well, me having to get on the live tonight stopped me from really just soaking, because I really just want to get in my bed and just have a moment.
And you
And
said what
having,
triggered this, Quiz?
huh?
What triggered this?
I believe it was the pattern change. Like I told you, anytime I leave, I enjoyed myself so much. Then gotta come back to reality, like, ooh, it's back to work. Cause I don't really, I mean, I'm grateful for a job. Let's just say it like that. But just the reality of that and all that stuff, I was in paradise. You know what I'm saying? Like it wasn't just being in the Lord's presence. I was enjoying my man too, just some time away, and really was. So
You better enjoy your man. My man, my man, my man. And when I tell you, I'm going to let that out, baby. You know
Who
me?
you telling?
I'm going to learn that in another language.
Prepare.
What's my man in Spanish? Holla, what's my man in Spanish?
Me mio, me mio, me mio.
Me. I'm going to be wearing that out, baby. I'm going to learn it. I'm going to learn it in French. I'm going to be saying, oui. Babe, I'm going every language. I ain't gonna know it. No.
Oh my God.
I'm gonna be running it back, baby.
Who?
But the growth in it is that I can identify those moments. At one time I couldn't. I would go into those places where I just started crying. I'm like, what is wrong? Like I couldn't come out of that. But now I can. I can tell Robert.
Nikki says sign language and all.
Yes,
I
Lord.
You might mean
Yes,
my
Lord.
You
Yes,
be.
I think, Queese, I think it's not so much the pattern change is what you're coming back to.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm
think
saying?
it's because what you're coming back to, you know it's not the best version of what it's supposed to be.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
You
what
Absolutely.
it is.
understand what
That's
I'm
what you
saying?
work on.
Absolutely.
It's not the pattern change. It's like,
And the more you get exposed to purpose, the more you get frustrated when you're not in it.
Wow. Now that's good.
So that's a lot of it too, because you just be like, oh.
Woo-hoo.
and
Like, why am I
it can be
here?
very draining. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying?
Yeah.
Because you're starving for once, like you overfed the spirit man, and then you come back home and now he's finna be anorexic. I'm just saying, you know? And so that means that there's some work that needs to be done so that this part of my life, when I leave it, when I come back, like I'm gonna give you an example. Like I've been gone for almost a week, 2 weeks. And between New York, I was in Montgomery all last week and then Tennessee. And I was so excited to get back to see my kids. Like I could not wait to see my kids.
Really?
You know what I'm saying? And then to see them running and bum fumbling down the hall, like, cause like I'm standing outside, was good for me. You know what I'm saying? Because so I understand what it means, like to come back. Cause there was a time when I would come back from these retreats and I'd be like I hate my job.
Yeah.
Like I hate this secular part of my life until I found, and I used to work for Dun and Bradstreet, and they used to say, if you find a job you love, you'll never work a day in your life.
That's so you telling the truth.
So
what I'm
actually, like when you came back from the retreat, I mean, tying it even to grief, you was grieving.
Yeah. Absolutely.
You're normal,
Yes.
really, because it's not, you didn't want to return to it.
Didn't want to return to that. That's
Somebody
And so
wrote that
it's
down.
some realities that you need to deal with.
yeah.
You
So
know what I'm
true.
saying? That's what, and not just you, Queese. I'm sure some other people online, you know what I'm saying? That even, and it doesn't have to be a conference or a retreat or whatever. It could be going on vacation
Yep.
and coming back and being like, everything that I left is right where I left it. Ain't nothing changed the whole time.
Wow.
Especially when you was praying at a conference or a retreat, like God fix this when I get back home, and then I get back home and ain't nothing been fixed.
Right.
And I'm grieving that.
Right. Then
Yeah.
that's something that I gotta deal with.
Right.
So
You know
true.
what I'm saying?
What
You
about
know?
grieving? What about grieving the end of relationships?
Mm.
Like
I think it's important to do that.
what about when God tells you that somebody isn't for you, but you're in love with them? And like you at a place in your life where you gotta tear this. You gotta leave them alone. Like you don't want to. It ain't nothing in you that want to be without them. But you know that is not the person you supposed to be with. And you have to leave them alone.
And it
That's
ain't nothing they done did.
no, it just then they may be a great
They-
person, it just ain't
yeah.
your person.
That's not joking.
I think that's when God does the tearing because we won't.
Yeah, he does. And it's almost like a snatching, like somebody dying, you know, just on a whim,
Yeah.
versus I don't think death is easy regardless of how the person go. Regardless if we are somewhat get a chance to brace ourselves because they may have a sickness or a diagnosis, versus if somebody just have a massive heart attack,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just boom, bam, they out of here out of nowhere. I really don't think, I think they both hurt, but I really do think that there's something about the snatching. You know what I'm saying? That's
Absolutely.
different.
You ain't had time to prepare for that.
So even in relationships, when God is like, let it go, but you don't want to, and you
Or even when
love
God
them.
ain't like, let it go. You see some stuff that that isn't healthy for you based on where you're going.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, I get
Sometimes
it.
it's just about them not being able to continue on the journey.
Child,
And and
child, child,
and God is just like saying,
honey, child.
I'm gonna let you do that. Here's where I'm going, here's where you going. This is they here, y'all together, but where I'm taking you, so
They
I'm gonna
don't
let
have the
you.
capacity.
And it ain't no shade. It ain't no
It
shade.
ain't
It
no.
ain't no. It ain't none of that. It's just. And one thing I will say is that when you are in relationship with somebody,
Mm-hmm.
you have to grow the relationship together, but you also have to grow as individuals.
Yeah.
And
Mm.
if you the only one growing as an individual, it's inevitable for the relationship to sever. That's an inevitability.
That is so good, Juna.
It
Yeah.
is an inevitability when you are the only one growing.
Yeah.
Both of y'all can want the relationship all day long. Ask me how I know. Okay? Both of y'all can want it all day long. But if you are the only one that wants more, that's growing, that's taking opportunities for exposure and
Mm-hmm.
And I'm
it's not
telling
gonna
you,
work.
if you don't sever and go ahead and grieve that person, you will grieve in another way concerning that person.
And will and what'll happen is what'll happen, and I can speak to this because where I am now is I am frustrated at the time I've wasted.
Some Danny Chester just said, "Man, I've wasted so much time in this
Wow.
position."
I
Then
am
she said, "My
I'm having
problem
to
is I'm a
grieve.
fixer. I want to fix it."
Yep.
That for me, I'm grieving the time that I waste.
And
Wow.
sometimes you'll stay
Woo,
in a
son of that shit.
relationship because you like, I invested so much time in
I
this.
Yeah.
invested so much
And so
time.
I'm not finna lose out. But even you staying, you still losing because you're
You
not
still
getting a
losing
return on
time.
your investment. Because in your
Woo.
mind, you're like, I'm not finna put all of this in and then the next chick come and get the best of all of my investment.
Beyonce, ring the alarm. I've been here too long. I click on his arm. I get it. I get it. I get it. I get it. But yeah, you
Woo!
gotta let another chick get on his arm because you gonna be a grieving chick.
Right.
Because I'm telling you, there is nothing more grievous in a relationship when someone does not see the need to change for the betterment of the relationship or even for themselves.
Yeah.
When you are in a relationship with somebody who just doesn't want more, when you're in a relationship with somebody who is satisfied, hear me,
That's hard.
will grieve your spirit.
It
I
will.
am
And it will
telling you,
frustrate the
I
hell
don't
out of
care
you
how
because
much you love
excuse
them.
me,
I don't care
I
how
don't care
much
how
you love
good
them.
that is.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, it will
Because
listen.
even that, after so
Because
long, you be
The
like,
could be very good.
the
ah,
it is frustrating. And I'm telling you, and I was sharing with a friend of mine today, like I am at the point where I'm just trying not to dry rot. You know what I'm saying? Because okay, I listen.
No, I'm sitting that for a minute.
because you didn't what? You didn't touch someone.
I'm
Sitting that.
just trying not to dry rot. You
No.
understand?
Woo!
Don't say nothing else.
Hey, dry rotting
never
looks
know.
like what? Dry rotting looks like what?
You a raisin?
Some look, some
I'm
bad,
talking about
some
paint
bad,
the
some
picture.
bad garlic.
A prune?
Woo.
Cobweb?
Let that garlic sit out. As good as garlic is to a dish, let that mess sit out too long.
An old potato?
Listen,
I hear you because you. Ooh, well, oh, okay.
But why is that touching you so?
Because
Yes.
I feel you, Juna, I feel you.
But y'all gotta explain that. What do you mean by that?
Right.
Because, like,
You just wanna
never
have
again,
sex.
God? Never? Like, this it. My last time was my last time.
You really feel like that? That was your last time?
Like, I am Sarah.
No,
I'm
you're
Sarah.
not.
I'm telling you, and I fight not to get in that place. But when I tell you, I got a Sarah anointing.
Oh, you're talking about in the tent.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So when you said that, Juna, like that, like it was back here, but when you said it, it was thrust forward to the front of my mind.
So do
I
you
understand
think that you have to keep yourself from grieving what will never be?
or what you believe, or what you're, or you got to make
And you
peace
have to
that
keep
if it
yourself,
ain't, it is
from
wet.
grieving that this will never happen for me.
And you just like,
and it's
never?
not, and I'm and my thing is that I'm not to that point yet. What I am, like I said, what I'm grieving is I feel like I have wasted a lot of time. That is a hard pill to swallow.
Is it hard for you to swallow that because do you feel like you missed something?
No. See, that's the thing. I can't say not with who I wasted time with. I ain't missed nothing. What I'm saying,
I'm talking about with somebody else.
I don't know who that someone else is. See, that's the thing.
That's what what I'm saying is the time that you wasted with somebody else. Do you feel like you missed it with somebody else? You don't have to know who the somebody else is, because how can God put somebody in a place that you got the space filled?
Right. I'll say this. Yes. I will say I don't know if I put it like this. I know I wasted time. Now, whatever
said, am I called to singleness, Lord?
Okay, so let's talk about that. And I know we shifted. Because this is still grief. We can still grieve that the idea of that.
The idea of
might never be.
Yeah, that's that. We still grieve that. What I will say is that you may or may not be called to singlehood, but if you are called to it, how okay would you be?
Not okay. But I think
I don't think you called to
stand by.
I don't think you called to it if you won't be okay with it.
Right. And I think by now you would have known that, you know what I'm saying?
But
I have a friend now. I have a friend now. You said what?
Do you think you can be called to it without having the gift?
No.
Me either.
No.
So I'm like, if you don't have a gift, you ain't called to it.
Right.
Me either.
But I have a friend who's in her late 50s. That's a virgin.
Really? So
wait.
Ain't nothing penetrated.
Okay, penetrated.
I have a cousin in her 60s that's a virgin.
She ain't never been picked. Okay. Now see some stuff like
Christmas fest say what now?
But I'm just saying.
What?
And so I don't think you can have the gift and be called to single. You cannot have the gift and be called to being single.
I don't think
that's impossible.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Because you'll be running these streets, but you'll be single. I mean, I'm just saying. So, but I think that by now you would have known A, if you have the gift of celibacy, and B, if you have been called to singleness.
I don't believe celibacy
You know
is a
what?
gift. I don't believe celibacy is a gift. I believe celibacy
It's
is
a
a
curse.
discipline. It's a discipline. I don't believe it's a gift. I don't believe nobody got that.
You
Uh
really don't.
I don't believe nobody got the gift of celibacy. I think some people have the discipline of it.
That's
but
interesting
not
too.
a gift.
Never
I don't
I'm
heard
trying to
it
think if
that
that's in
way.
the Bible. I thought it was in the Bible. Let me see. In
Well,
the Bible.
while she's singing, can I ask y'all a question? Because I'm trying to take a back seat because I'm married, so I'm taking a back seat to what y'all talking about now. But my question is, based on you all's experience, what is the greater price to pay to get with someone and satisfy that versus being, let's say, to satisfy what you feel has dried up just to be with somebody, but they lack the ability to change or want more in life? What price is greater? Like, are you willing to? And I believe that you all's live show that you're willing to say, I'm gonna hold off because I know that price is too
now
big to
willing.
pay, huh?
Now willing. Now willing. Now willing. Now willing.
Cool.
At
Adrian said,
9:41
well, what is abstinence then?
is abstaining.
Which is a discipline.
Which is a
You
discipline.
just because you can abstain and not have the gift of celibacy. Celibacy means without.
Here
Hold
she
on,
go.
where?
Here she
Say
go.
it again.
Abstain
Here
means
she
like
go. I'm your living,
I'm
breathing
abstaining from
example.
sex right now.
Okay, so abstain is I'm abstaining now, but you said celibacy is nothing.
Nothing.
I've instituted discipline
Okay.
over my life.
I don't believe you got to show me in the word that it said gift, because I don't believe it's a gift.
Oh, okay, that's what I was looking for.
But I don't believe it's a gift. I don't believe that's a gift. I believe
You
that's
told Judah.
I
I
believe
think that
that's a
Paul
discipline.
says something about if you don't have the gift, you need to be married.
He said it's better to marry than to burn. Well, let me burn, baby. Allow some. Okay, let me see. I'm looking for the scripture, and if anybody else knows the scripture, but I mean, and I don't know if it's so much a scripture or if Paul just talks about, celibacy and the importance of being celibate. I'm looking as we're talking though.
McKeelan said, so you will settle to be unequally yoked with someone just to be with someone. No,
No.
I wouldn't. No.
No,
No, not now. Now.
Yep.
Okay, Adrian got another question. She said, Pam said, well, marriage, here I come. I know
we
that's
ain't
right.
nobody think about Pam. Bye, Pam.
Adrian said, is abstinence because you are not in a relationship and celibacy is while in a relationship? No, you're not going to be celibate in no relationship. I mean, not in a marriage. Let me say that. Not in a marriage.
Right. You abstain. Now you
Celibacy,
can abstain. You can abstain in a
to me is
relationship.
a choice. Celibacy is a choice. I think you choose to be celibate. Like you say,
like the monks.
I'm not going to be with anybody.
Like
Or
the
if you
monks
say I'm gonna be
and the
celibate
nuns.
for a while or whatever, or however.
Well, they ain't
I
on
think
them.
abstinence is discipline. Both of them take discipline because they both are abstaining.
You know what I having them
Danny
conversations.
Chester says celibacy also means no alternative as well. Hint toys. Right.
Right.
Because you're taking yourself into your own hands.
Right. That's true though.
Pauletta, you
All them
turned
candy
around.
coated nights. You can't be candy coated nights and be celibate, baby.
My.
That no. Let me
Sorry,
see. I'm
y'all.
looking. 1 Corinthians 7. Let me see. But yeah, celibacy is not. But see, okay, this is where people get it from. It says, but celibacy is not for everyone any more than marriage is. God gives the gift of the single life to some, the gift of the married life to others. Okay, let me read that in the King James, because y'all only fool. If King James said it, y'all believe it.
King James was the homosexual. Sorry, keep talking.
Y'all
Wrong,
want to have
wrong,
that
wrong,
conversation.
wrong,
Y'all want to have that conversation.
wrong, wrong.
So he
wrong.
can't translate because he was. I mean, what the fuck? Oh
You
my
do know
God,
that.
Judah, what is wrong with you?
Man, I lost the scripture.
That's
Oh
just some
man.
random thoughts.
Woo.
I gotta,
He
Okay,
might
hold up, y'all.
Corinthians.
I gotta.
Were you in Corinthians?
Yeah, but I lost the scripture when you know, the Message Bible jumbles the
Tequila
scriptures up.
said, "Get off the live, Judah."
Right.
When I tell you she's so raw tonight, that's because she was in her jammies, baby, before she got on live. She had to come out of jammies. Yeah, Charlotte said 1 Corinthians 7. Me and Judah.
Right, it is. I'm looking for the
When I
specific
tell
verse.
you, I had Nelson in my bed and had stacked my pillows.
Baby.
You know, I have my pillows. They be at an angle like this. They start low and they go high.
Okay. So it's 7. 1 Corinthians 7:7. Okay.
So I
5,
know
6.
this somebody get me off that cliff.
Right.
Hey.
See, okay, it says in King James, "For I would that all men were even as I myself." This is why nobody read King James. "But every man hath his proper gift of God, one after this manner, and another after that." What? See,
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
That's the same thing you said.
yeah, but
And he
it's
was
not.
saying some people have the gift of singleness.
Yes, so it's not so much celibacy,
But
it's
I
singleness.
think if you desire relationship, you don't have the gift of singleness. I don't.
I don't either. But I am exercising the discipline of
Celibacy.
abstinence.
Abstinent. Okay.
I'm doing now.
At 9:47 on the 25th.
Now. Now.
Raven
Now
said
I am.
message version, Pauletta.
It's 1 Corinthians 7.
Raven said message version.
Oh, she said read.
Oh yeah, the Message version was the better one. Even New Living Trans, but I wish everyone were single just as I am. Yet
Trinita's
each person has a special
hashtag
gift.
now.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
But I get it though. Nobody wants to. I get it though. Junior, you said something when you said that. I don't want to become dry rot.
Wow,
That
that's
thing
Because
touched you, friend.
then you feel
That's
you start
right.
feeling
She
less
woke
of
up after
womanly.
that. Because prior to
She was gone. Her
She was
light
happy.
came on or something.
when
The-
she
your
said
room-
something about dry rot.
Cause that thing, I mean, it's flew to the front. It was all the way at the nape. And when I tell you it came to the frontal lobe,
You woke up deep.
it came right to the frontal lobe.
When I tell you she had to hush sex, I'm just
It's
But
hard
guys,
out here.
we thank you guys so much for joining us tonight. If you have Chris, you're so
Please.
silly.
He
Please, can you
gone.
get back in the camera, please?
Just like
Get back in the
that.
When
camera.
I tell you,
He is
you was
coming
a whole mute
in a
until that lady
twinkling
said
of
something
an
about
eye.
dry rot.
When
Yes.
I
You had said nothing. You
And Quisa keep disappearing like that lady. He is coming in the twinkling of an eye. It'll be just like that. No peace.
We could just get Queese to stay in the frame. Stay in the frame, please.
Pauletta, you don't understand. Like your room lit up and everything. Like you.
No,
was
I
gone.
know.
I
like
understand.
your
Y'all just
ring
don't
light came on, and I know you ain't even got there. But
Y'all
just
just
so
don't-
much had
yeah.
transpired. But we glad you woke up, friend. We glad you woke up. But God,
Ooh.
Y'all don't have any questions, do y'all? I mean,
in tonight. Is there
when I tell you
anybody
what to
that
do-
has any questions about grief? And the grief part 2 will be the session that we'll release next week, and it looks at the grief from a different point. And I really want y'all to listen to that one because it is like extremely interesting. You know what I need y'all to do? I need everybody on here right now to share.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
What is wrong with you? I need everybody to share.
Share.
Share
Now
right
we
now.
got 926 followers. Can
And
y'all
make
please get
sure
us 74 more?
You grieving 1,000 followers. Y'all, please, when I tell you, I don't know what that means to you, but it's my prayer that it happens. Because, baby, it
We
was,
want y'all to go listen to the podcast.
we got, ooh, baby, I want that to happen for you because I don't know what's going to break
I
through.
want this for us. That what the boy said. I want this for us.
I want this for us. I like this for us.
But you guys, listen. First of all, it's a whole lot of y'all on here, but you didn't listen to the thing.
I
Now
think
get
it gets
yourselves over there.
confusing. Y'all don't be confused. Look, this
Right.
ain't the podcast
You
on
don't
a
even
Yes.
know
Monday
what we're
night.
talking about. Because you didn't even listen. You need to get on over to iHeartRadio.
Yes.
Get on over to Google Podcasts. Get on over to Spotify and watch episode 4 about Impact the Grief. Charlotte, I know you listening, but I'm telling you, 75% of people in this room haven't even listened to Impact the Grief.
But
No,
we
I
They
know
be
shared a
coming over
lot,
here. They be coming over
10,000
here
that
on
much,
times.
Monday
that
night
much,
after the.
Holy Ghost, that
They
much.
be coming over here on Monday night after the episode to get the highlights.
They
Right.
run to the live. They
The
run to
cliff
the
notes.
live.
Y'all want
Ma'am.
the cliff notes. That's what I was just gonna say. Y'all ain't nothing but a cliff note crowd.
Right, just the facts, ma'am.
Just the skins.
So we love you guys. Look for episode 5 next week, which will be Impact of Grief Part 2. So we looking at grief in a whole new way. Like it's going to be very enlightening to you because it's different from what we talked about tonight. All right. She
Thank
said I
you,
listened
Z from
on the way to
Jackson.
sleep.
Thank
Oh,
you,
I
Z
know who Z
Jackson,
Jackson is now. I
listening
know
all
who
the
she
way
is
from
now. Okay.
Tennessee.
Thank you, Z.
I know
We
exactly who Z
love you
Jackson is.
guys. Have an amazing night. And we thank y'all so much for continuing to support us and to share. So if you haven't shared, share. But let me say this before we get off. If you have experienced a loss in your life that you feel like that you have not gotten back to yourself and it's been years, go to counseling.
Yeah,
Please.
Counseling works.
absolutely.
All right. Counseling don't mean you crazy. To me, you crazy if you don't go and you know you need it.
I know that's right.
Go to counseling. Counseling works. I would not have made it without counseling, without
Yes.
having somebody who didn't know me to talk to. So
Yeah.
I'm telling you, it's important. Counseling works. Go to counseling because some of you are still living in deaths that happened 10, 15, 20 years ago and you haven't moved past it. Go to counseling. Okay. We
Mhm.
love you guys. Have an amazing week. Okay. Bye, everybody.
Bye
Bye bye.
bye.